good morning or good evening, I guess, depending on where you are. Welcome to 19.2. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Michael Duxbury and I'm Head of Product Management. So it's going to be mostly my team that's coming on today to tell you everything that's new in 19.2, which ships in 2 weeks' time. I was speaking to my mum earlier today. And this is a true story. This has really happened. I was speaking to my mum earlier, and I said, "You know what, Mum? I've got to go now because I've got an internal release." And she suddenly became very serious, and she went, "Is that when they fire everyone?" So I think we should go back to calling it an internal launch rather than internal release. But 19.2, it's a really big release. It's certainly the biggest release we've had for a while. And as a result, it has a correspondingly big ILP, which is what we're at now. But we're going to do our best to make it both informative and entertaining for you. If you want to ask questions, don't ask questions in the middle because it just plays havoc with our timing, quite frankly. But if you do have a question, go to slido, and enter this code. And what we'll do, we'll have a Q&A session at the end that wraps everything up. And we'll try and get through as many of your questions as we can then. If there are so many we can't answer them all, then don't worry, we'll answer them on Slack or via email if we get loads of them. Because it's such a big release, there's going to be quite a number of talks today, quite a lot of presenters, a lot of which, well, 4 of which are new. So the good news is you don't get a talk from me today. And the even better news is that you get 4 new people. So you've got Amber here. She's going to come on next, and she's going to be talking to you about all the changes in broadcast SMS. And then we also have Pam that is going to be talking about the changes in Dynamics, but also the investment we're making in the Dynamics connector. And then we have James that's going to be talking about some CPaaS changes, in particular WhatsApp. And then lastly, we're going to have Julia from the product marketing team, who's going to talk to you a little bit about the product marketing that we're doing for the release. There's going to be some old faces as well. One of the reasons I introduced some of the new people is that the other day when I said there was a whole load of new people presenting, they said, did you make everyone else leave? And that's not true. They're still here as well, and they'll still be presenting. There's just some new faces to join the team. From tomorrow onwards, you will be able to get yourself certified in 19.2. I encourage you to do it. If you do it, you'll get one of these stickers. And who wouldn't want this? Thank you. Who wouldn't want one of these stickers? If in a couple of weeks' time you don't have one of these on your laptop, your peers and your colleagues, they will shun you. You will be ostracized. People probably won't like you very much. So it's definitely, that's not true. But it is definitely worth getting one of these. So from tomorrow, you have just under 2 weeks. The link for the quiz will get sent out, so keep your eyes on for that. And if you're wondering, well, that's all well and good, but how do we learn the answers to do successfully in the quiz? Well, there's 3 ways. There is going to be a whole load of bite-sized training videos. And when I say bite-sized, I really mean it. They're between 30 seconds to 60 seconds long, typically. So they were quite easy just to blitz through. And I know some teams have sort of lunch and learn sessions as well when you watch the whole lot. Every question we ask in the self-certification quiz is answered in those videos. But you also get the benefit of Adele training you where appropriate. So I think actually this time around, for nearly all teams, Adele will be spending time with you and your team to train you one-on-one or remote, depending on where you are. And then lastly, the sales enablement folder, which you will hear about a lot today, will be updated with 19.2 materials as well. So it's everything from what it is to competitor analysis to the reasoning behind some of these changes. It will all be in that folder, so it's worth checking that out as well. Okay, I said it was going to be quite a big ILP, so I am not going to talk any longer. I'll hand you over to Amber.
Need mic change. Sorry. Okay, let's get Awesome. So I'm Amber. I think I've probably met a lot of you. I'm one of the senior product managers who's a new face, but I didn't show my face in the photo. So I'm going to take you through broadcast SMS. So I think a lot of you know that we've been doing a lot of work on broadcast SMS over the last few months, and I'm going to show you the changes that we've made. So first of all, maybe why. You might be wondering why we're working on broadcast SMS. There's a few reasons. So as we move to being more of an omni-channel platform, obviously we want to increase the channels that we offer, and SMS is one of those. Second of all is customer demand. So interestingly, for example, our customers sent 10 times more SMS messages in the last month than they did this time last year. So that's really cool. So we know that people are using SMS, so we want to make the experience better for them. So first of all, I'm going to take you through the smoother journey that we've created for broadcast SMS. So I don't know how many of you have actually used our broadcast SMS tool before, but it doesn't currently look like this, and this is what we're launching. So we've made a lot of changes. We've given it a bit of a facelift. So we've added in an unsent, outbox and sent folder. So it makes it easy for our customers to now differentiate between the draft messages, those that they've scheduled, and those that they've sent in the past. We've also added in last modified, so they can see if anyone in the team has edited it. And we've also added in preview, copy, and test send features, as well as a search bar. So these might all kind of look like icons on a page too, I guess, but these are going to make a lot of beneficial changes for our customers. So this is going to make it much easier for them to use the tool. So second of all, when we continue on the journey and we go into the SMS editor tool, we've added in a save and continue button. I'm going to put my glasses on, I can't see. Save and continue button. And so that might again seem kind of simple, but in the past you had to go back to the dashboard to send, so they can just continue on their journey. And we've also added in breadcrumbs so they know where they are in the journey. On the confirm send page, we've made a lot of changes. We're giving them a lot more information. So we've got the from name they're sending from, the available credits they've got on their account, Unicode, which I'm going to come to shortly about what that is. They can see what address books they're sending from, the send time, the number of recipients, and the estimated credits for send. And they can do a final check of the message to make sure they're happy with it before they send. And then in terms of reporting, we've made some changes as well. So now they can see a preview of what their message that they sent looked like and tie that into the reporting. Previously, we didn't have anything there, so they couldn't see the message they sent in reporting. And we've also made some name changes to the statuses. So we've got rid of the mysterious no delivery receipt and replaced it with pending, which makes more sense. And we've changed expired to soft bounces. And we've changed failed to hard bounces. And the cool thing about hard bounces, it's like email. They automatically get suppressed because they're numbers that are no longer working. So this might not seem that exciting. Nobody looks excited in the room, but it is exciting. I'm excited. Our beta users are excited. But let's do a bit of a deeper dive so you can actually see why this might be exciting for customers. So first of all, Unicode alert. So you might ask, what is Unicode? Unicode is basically any character that's not a standard Latin character or number, like Greek or Arabic, for example. Emojis are also Unicode. And apostrophes and things like that that are copied across from Microsoft Word can inadvertently be converted to Unicode. And the thing about Unicode is it takes up more characters than SMS message. So SMS messages can have 160 characters before they go into a second message. But if you add just one Unicode character into a message, you can only have 70 characters. So if you don't know that as a customer, you can compose your message, think, yep, I've got 160 characters, and not realize there's Unicode in there. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example. I'm going to use Snowyo. Those of you who have seen one of these before know we often use Snowyo, our company, as an example. So Snowyo have a marketing manager called Emily, and Emily is a very conscientious employee. And conscientious employers always do things right. They're careful about what they're doing. So if you ask a conscientious employee to write an SMS campaign, there's a big chance that they're going to write it in Word. And the reason they're going to do that is that they can do a spell check, and they also check how many characters are in the message. So this is what Emily from Snowyo, the marketing manager, did. She got told we need to do a summer sale campaign. She wrote the message in Word, checked how many characters, 154, fine. Under 160 characters, copies and pastes it into the SMS tool, hit send. But then Emily has one of those moments that we've all had before in work where we think, oh shit, did that, and she thinks, did that say 3 messages? But it can't have, because I know that I only had 154 characters, so it can't be 3 messages. But she thinks, it definitely was 3 messages, shit. and so what's just happened? Snow has 3 times, has just sent 3 times as many as messages as they thought they had. They've got 200,000 SMS contacts. So instead of sending 200,000 SMS messages, they've just sent 600,000. And so that resulted in an overspend of £10,000. And I should have said I've used Emily as an example, but this has happened to real customers. I think Sydney's in the room and he's nodding. He's had to talk to a customer that this has happened to, although it wasn't quite £10,000. But if you overspend by £10,000, you might feel a little bit like this. You might feel that you just want to move away into the abyss and you never want to come back to work again. So at Dotdigital, we care about the conscientious employee. That's why we've now added a Unicode alert. So if you add a Unicode into your message, like Emily did, she'll not only be told that she's got Unicode in the message, but she'll be told exactly what characters. So you can see it's pulling up that pesky apostrophe she copied across from Word, as well as the emojis. So of course, customers can still send Unicode, but we're making it their choice and letting them know, so nothing accidentally gets sent out. So the next one is cancelling scheduled sends. So I spoke to a lot of customers when we were making the updates to broadcast SMS. And one of the biggest things, one of the most feedback I got was about being able to cancel scheduled sends. So currently when customers have scheduled sends, they schedule them and they kind of go off into the ether. They can't see them, which is not very useful. And one of the customers I spoke to, this is a real quote from her. My main frustration is that we have no control over what happens to our campaigns once we've scheduled them. Once I schedule them, they disappear from view. If I get distracted, chaos happens. And I don't know about you guys, but chaos happens is never a quote that I want people to associate with Engagement Cloud. So we needed to do something about this. So if we go back to our Snow Your example, Emily, perhaps learning from experience, now schedules in her messages and gets them signed off by her manager before she sends them. So here she's done a screenshot of the message she's going to send out. And Tom, her manager's come back and said, in hindsight, fun on the white stuff mightn't have been the best slogan we've ever come up with. Maybe, seems a bit druggy, doesn't it? So could you change it? So in the past, this is where chaos would have ensued. However, not anymore, because we've got an outbox feature. So Emily can just click on cancel send. That'll send the message back to the unsent tab where she can edit it and reschedule it. And so then we've got managing opt-outs and opt-ins. One of the things our customers also really, really wanted in terms of SMS was suppression lists. So on the current platform, you can't upload suppression lists for SMS contacts. And so we had customers that were saying, great, I want to, I already use a supplier for SMS, I want to move over to you. I'll just need to bring across my opted out contacts. And we had to sort of give an awkward look and say, we can't do that currently. So now when they ask, we can give a smug look and say, yes, we can upload your suppressed contacts. But of course, with opting out comes opting in. And so have you ever had a moment where you've opted out of some really great marketing and instantly wanted to undo? I don't know that I have, but apparently it does happen. So one thing our customers really wanted was the ability for their customers to opt back in. So our new resubscribe feature allows suppressed contacts to text in unstop, or if they want to be grammatically correct, start, and they'll opt back in straight away. And then the big one, link shortening and tracking is here for SMS. So when I spoke to a lot of our customers, the thing they said over and over was they wanted to be able to shorten and track links in SMS. So now you can. So now when a customer drops a link into the SMS tool, they'll get a prompt if they want to shorten and track it. And it will get shortened and track at the time of send. So you can see in here, this is going a little bit fast. I knew this would trip me up. When they drop it in, it's a click shorten. It doesn't actually change in this view, but they can hit preview to see what it will look like. And the reason for that is because it's tracked, every customer gets an individual link. So you can't see the link that we're sending out because every customer is getting a different link. But what we do is the character count does reflect the fact that the link is always 22 characters, so they can see what character length they're on. And in terms of reporting as well, we've made it so, of course, they can now see the top links and clicks in their message. So they can see the clicks, the unique clicks, and the click to send rate as well. So hopefully it makes our customers feel like this. So just to wrap up from me, for broadcast SMS, we're now going to have a much smoother journey. Key improvements include our Unicode alert, cancelling scheduled sends, and suppression management. And the biggest thing that I have to announce is that link shortening and tracking is now here. And that is it from me.
To the ILP. So my name is Ian. I've got a few things to talk to you about today. This is the first session. First off, we have some Snowyo news. So this is Tom, the CEO of, excuse me, I have microphone nipples here, it's quite disconcerting. The CEO of, yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. He's the CEO of Snowyo, or is he? No, he's the CEO. So, in fact, this is kind of like the least weird divergence that I had for the ILP. At one point, he was Scottish, and it went off on some weird sort of Scottish slang thing. But I was sort of seeing how far Mike would let me sort of push this. So he's the CEO, and this reflects Tom's renewed commitment to his business and his Thug Life shades. He is driving for operational excellence across all channels of his business. And that's where we start our story, with pages and forms. So this is the new name for landing pages and surveys. And the story starts with this guy. This is Aidan. He works in the customer services department. And he's been getting some troubling emails from customers complaining about the delivery of their products. So this is pretty timely with Prime Day, right? Delivery packages arriving, you know, late, smash boxes, random places, rude delivery drivers, etc. So he wants to know, he wants to take sort of the qualitative data that he's had from a few emails and put some quantitative numbers to this. So Emily, who is the resident engagement cloud expert, says, you know what, I can help you out here. We can build a survey in Engagement Cloud, and we can put a link to it in our post-purchase emails. We can put some numbers against this problem. So Emily goes off, she does this. She then sends the survey to Tom to sign off. And that's a little bit where we get to the meat of the story, because Tom wasn't very happy with what that survey looked like. And we're going to be talking specifically about this bit. We've been working on a new survey builder. So although we're using Snowyo here as an example, basically the feedback that we're contriving here is real customer feedback. So overwhelmingly, the biggest piece of feedback that we had was around customers wanting to do more with the design of their surveys. So not just the design, the colors, but also the layout, things like that. So good news really for Emily. Surveys are now part of Easy Editor. So that means you can drag in form blocks, lay them out, style them as you wish. But it's not just form blocks. You can use all of the regular building blocks inside Easy Editor. So you have your columns, images, all of the good layout stuff. So happy days there for Emily. If you are a designer, you can now, of course, get your hands on the HTML code as well. So you can really customize the look and feel, make it really look like part of your digital branding. So on occasion, Emily and our customers like to make multi-page forms. So this is a good idea. So if you think about, putting 50 questions on one page, the cognitive load for that is really high. People just aren't going to bother. But if you can break it down into smaller chunks, group them on pages, actually respondent dropout is reduced. Respondent dropout was a huge thing. So we've done a bunch of work here. So as well as working on multi-page forms, we've also now got a progress bar, and we've also now got some smart logic. So to explain this, I'm going to show a short video. And of course there's a progress bar and there's buttons and all that, and that's cool, we're happy with those things. The interesting bit here is the logic. So if we get started, we're going to first choose our country. So we've chosen France, branch 1, okay? Where did you stay in France? Stayed in Tignes, all right? Branch 2, where did you stay in Tignes? We stayed in the Hotel Paquis, okay? You get the idea. We're multi-levels of branching deep here. This is really hard to do with conventional branching. So what we've done is come up with a new way to do branching called preconditions. To explain those, first need to introduce your new best friend, which is the section block. You drag the section block into a landing page, and this allows you to structure multi-page forms or slide-based forms. So this is the section block. These are sections. Into sections go inputs or other layout blocks. Now the neat thing about this is you get a really easy view to manage and edit your survey. So you can drag reorder sections, and you can also reorder inputs and layout blocks inside your section. So you get complete control over the layout. So thinking back to that example, we had a question which was, what country did you travel to? And in the example there, we chose France. And based on that selection, we showed a bunch of ski resorts in France. So thinking about that, the way section logic works is actually sections decide for themselves whether they're going to appear. Okay? So instead of exit conditions on the previous question, section will decide for itself whether it's going to appear. So let's work through one example. I click the cog menu on a section, I give my action a name, so something that I will remember what it all means, so show if France is selected. And then this is made up of a UI a little bit like Contact Segment Builder. So what we're going to do is we're going to show this section based on the answer to questions in a previous section. So in section 1, which was country, if someone filled the drop down out for country and set it to France, this section shows. You can flip the logic around, but the basic principle of this is precondition logic. It's more sophisticated than typical branching. You can do more with it, and at scale, it does things that branching just couldn't ever do. It would be a hopeless mess. So section logic, as it stands today, is to do with hiding and showing pages. But in the future, we've got some ideas for this. So at the moment, we're just filtering on questions. But why not insight data? Why not query string parameters? Who knows? Lots we can do with this. Okay, moving back to Aidan, who was the original instigator of the survey. He's not the one building it, but he wants a copy of the survey submissions. So good news for Aidan. You can now specify multiple recipients for survey results. Happy days for Aidan. And finally, Tom is concerned with accessibility for his forms. So, for example, in the US, he's heard of companies being fined under the ADA legislation, but also, because he's a good guy, he's got principles, he thinks his forms should be accessible, work with assistive technologies, screen readers, etc., etc. So, slightly skirting over this, but there are fines around this in the US. They are a bit more litigious than we are. But good news for him, new surveys, all of the markup that is generated, inputs and the HTML around it, things like labels, follows best practice for accessibility. We have a new layout block called the field group. This is really handy for grouping related questions. When a screen reader hits that, it will inform the person using it that these questions are, you know, about you or your preferences, for example. So best practice, you can use a field group block. We've also done work on validation for screen readers. So for example, there's the area required property on an input. That will tell the user of the screen reader when they hit that, they must complete that field or they can't submit the form. So we've built the tool. A little bit, there is a concerted effort around education and content to let our users know that this is important and they should be thinking about it. So as I said, in the US it's covered by ADA, and in the UK we're working with one of our clients, the RNIB, to put together some content around best practice, and hopefully we can start to share this. We're going to try and feed it into our training sessions, for example, so all good stuff there. So finally, just a bit of housekeeping. Who gets pages and forms? So if you're on an old plan, basically if you have surveys, you get pages and forms. I think the only one to note there really is if you only have landing pages, you don't automatically get surveys. And both of our new plans include surveys anyway. So in summary from me then, building surveys and forms is now really easy because you can do it in Easy Editor. You get all the benefits, all the features of Easy Editor. Multi-page surveys, much easier to manage now, and we have powerful new logic. And finally, accessible HTML. Thank you, and over to Tristan.
Afternoon, guys. Oh, it's quite loud. How are you doing? Yeah, good. Awesome. All right. So for those who don't know me already, I'm Tristan. I'm a product manager as well, and I look after everything e-commerce, especially the integration and the e-commerce integration. That's what I'm going to talk to you about. Some of the cool stuff that we've improved for the 19.2 release. And first off, some Magento announcements. Starting with a story around solving a catalog problem. I'm not talking about this problem though, which is probably too contentious for this hour. But basically, it's all around how to better serve our Magento customer and to sync a little better their products in Engagement Cloud. And to illustrate this, basically, we're going to come back to our Snowyo example. So Snowyo basically, have come a long way, and especially the website, where they actually sell some winter and outdoor gear and apparel and retail and fashion, and they're basically ready to tackle another sort of area. They are ready to tackle the surf and summer clothes, and they are launching Your Shore. So basically, new website, new team as well, a small team, but under the hood, that's still going to be using their tech and their same Magento instance. So in fact, they're just going to reuse everything that they have, use their Magento site to serve both Snowyo website and the Your Shore website. And this is quite common for our larger client as well using Magento. So to illustrate the problem that they are now facing, because basically now that they have Your Shore, they want to use all the cool stuff that we are doing around AI, machine learning. They want to use product recommendation, all the good stuff. And they are basically facing this problem. So before 19.2, it worked perfectly well if you had just had one Magento instance, potentially even with different websites, but linked to one single parent account. That was working perfectly well in terms of synchronizing the whole product catalog, getting all the products that are available in Magento, syncing them over to Engagement Cloud. Now, it gets slightly more complicated when it comes to different websites and also different store view. So bear with me if you don't really understand all this concept, but basically you can have within one Magento instance or server, you can have different websites, and also for each website you can have different store view, which is basically the same view of your website, but adapted for the UK market or the US market, etc., with different prices, potentially different names, different translations. And therefore, the products within these store views are slightly different and have variations. And until today, we were not able to synchronize all of these variations in terms of, surfacing all these differences of the product catalog in the correct account, especially when you have different engagement cloud accounts, such child account like this. We simply were not able to support this, and our support team basically was going, sorry, we don't support it at the moment because the quality of the data wasn't good enough. So good news for them, we can now support this. So effectively, in the Your account, in the child account, this is what you would see now. So providing that you set your Magento instance correctly and you configure it to send all your data from the Your website to your correct child account, you would have 3 different catalogs for each of your store view. And obviously, each of them would have the correct data. For example, the Euro catalog would have the Euro prices, and the second one, prices in pound, etc., etc. The URLs as well will be correct, and the name, etc. All the different attributes that are now correctly scoped for the store view. So that's the first thing that we've solved. That's a massive help for product recommendations. Even using the products in your product block, for example, is now really possible at the child account level. Second thing, SEO friendly URL. So before, this is what you would have seen if you were to have a look at a catalog coming from Magento. So this URL is a valid URL. Actually, this is the URL that is always valid in the Magento store. The problem is it's not really user friendly. It's a bit longish, and it doesn't mean anything for the user. Especially because in Magento you can define some rewrite rules to make it more sexy and more user-friendly. You can do things like that. So as long as you configure your Magento instance to rewrite this URL like this, we will now be able to synchronize this link in your product catalog. So great stuff as well. Another thing that we've been working on is differences between simple products and parent products. So again, apologize if you're really not familiar with all these things, but in an e-commerce website, especially in Magento, you can define some sort of a parent product that can have variants or childs, depending on whether a product can be shipped as with the blue color or the orange color, the purple color, etc. And before we had this problem basically where some of our customers were not setting correctly things like prices. Oops, lost the sound there. At the parent level, because in Magento it would always fall back to the price of their child. So we've now resolved that with some sort of a clever fallback in the catalog. Another problem was that basically, again, for lazy customer like Tom and the Snow team and the Usual team, sometimes they don't even bother setting an image for a simple product if that's going to be the same image as the parent. So again, we've got their back. So now what we do is we basically get the cheapest price that is available. We set it at the parent level. When we synchronize the product to Engagement Cloud, same thing for the image. If it's missing, we're just going to fall back on the parent image. So you see all tiny things, but things that really matters when it comes to having good quality data, when it comes to actually serving product recommendation in your marketing campaigns. Another thing that we've done is effectively synchronizing or giving the ability to synchronize the custom attributes. So, for example, here this paddle for the standing up paddle, have different custom attributes that are set in Magento. you are now able basically to synchronize and to select them to use them in Engagement Cloud. Again, for things like product recommendation, if you wanted to build a recommendation that would only show some products that are made for the intermediate level of the sport, well, you can do that with this custom attribute. So to wrap up a little bit on the catalog improvement for Magento and what are the benefits for the customer and especially for your show, they can now use product recommendations, product block, as well as product enrichment at the child account level. And this is time for the Shaka sign. So yeah, it's a great stuff on Magento. Moving on to Shopify now. Again, still talking about better data quality and consistency. To illustrate the problem that we have again, I'm just going to take another example. This is Kirsty Jones. She is a Snowyo customer. When she first bought from Snowyo, she went on the Shopify website. At the time, she was accepting marketing. She subscribed. She's been tagged as a snowboarder because the product that she bought was a snowboard for beginner as well. She was from Lyon, France, etc. And then the marketing team of Snowyo, a few months down the line, is kind of looking to some profile, and when they look at Kirsty on the Engagement Cloud side, this is what they found. So first thing is, it's like the game, spot the differences. First thing that they found is that the name is different in Engagement Cloud. Second thing, she might have moved to different places, but the address is different. And she's also been tagged as high potential. You will understand this one at the end of the ILP. It will make sense. But basically, her profile has evolved and has basically been modified and potentially has been enriched with with tools that we offer as part of the Engagement Cloud platform. The only thing that is in common really is the email address, and this is how we are able to identify it. Another problem that you might find later on is when a contact actually unsubscribed, and you look at what's in the Shopify website and you realize that this contact is subscribed there. So again, there is a lot of data inconsistency there, and it was really time to do something about it. And what we've done is actually to release a two-way synchronization on the data for the Shopify connector. And how people can actually turn this on is really easy. There's just one simple switch that you can use. This is not the one, although I love this box. But yeah, this is how you do it. So you go into your Shopify settings and you just enable two-way sync. So how it basically would work. So it will apply, and that's a very important point, only to existing contact in Shopify. That means we would never create any contact that doesn't exist to Shopify or that wasn't initially subscribed or present in the Shopify platform. So if you upload 1 million contacts in Engagement Cloud, it would never replicate the 1 million contacts in Shopify. We will only work with contacts that were coming originally from Shopify. It applies on a fixed set of data fields, so first name, last name, phone number, notes and tags, shipping address as well. And it also applies just on new modifications. That means if you turn that on today, it will not synchronize your historical data. It will just synchronize new updates that you do on one end or the other and replicate it the other way. So, yep, Shopify two-way sync is now live. Actually, it was live a few weeks ago, but we just thought we would recap this as part of the 19.2 release. Moving on some other improvements for Commerce Flow. If you don't know what Commerce Flow is, this is our sort of module to work and synchronize and basically integrate and connect to all these platforms, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Shopware, and Commerce Cloud. And one thing that we've been working on is guests. So obviously Snoyo, love to engage with their customers. They have, customer with account, subscribers, and also, of course, guests. And guests are quite important for them. And the reason why guests are important is probably because of that stat as well. So in case you didn't know, 34% of the reason of abandoning a checkout process was because guest checkout wasn't available. So guests are really important for our customer and for Snoyo. And we really thought that we would do something about that. Because before 92, basically, the problem was that we were not able to synchronize any guest data if they didn't have any account. So that's now possible. And in fact, our customer won't have anything to do except to make sure they map this customer address book. Because now it will effectively include the guest data. So not only it includes guests, but also it will attach their guest order to the contact. You might want to know how then you would differentiate, within the customer address book, someone that is guest and someone that has an account. Well, easy. We've also added this data field. So if you map it, basically, you will have a specific attribute here where basically you'll be able to segment your customer base with those who have an account and those who don't have an account. All right. So I've been talking about 10 minutes now. I'm sure you're thinking no slide on abandoned cart yet? If you know me, there is always a slide about abandoned cart. So yes, there is one. We are glad to say that we are releasing as part of 19.2 a new section here on the WooCommerce connector. So we didn't really have anything for easy to implement for WooCommerce in terms of abandoned cart. And we have now decided that it was time to do it. We are also doing it at the minute for BigCommerce, so watch this space. That's gonna come very soon after the release. But basically, we are now introducing a new abandoned cart section. If you're familiar with the Shopify abandoned checkout, that's kind of the same. Although now it's a full abandoned cart. That means you don't have to start the checkout to actually get your data captured. However, it only works for logged-in customer. We are not able yet to capture any guest abandoned cart. So, yep, that's that. And finally, some good news for Salesforce Commerce Cloud platform. So we are now official. Everybody is aware that what Salesforce Commerce Cloud is. There is some confusion there, so just want to clear that. Salesforce Commerce Cloud is not Salesforce CRM. Okay, the Salesforce Commerce Cloud is definitely a commerce platform. It's been acquired by Salesforce a few years ago in 2016, I think. So Salesforce Commerce Cloud is actually the former Demandware platform. So we are now listed here on the Link Marketplace in basically all the partner marketplace of Commerce Cloud. That's really a good news. And why is that good news? Because it brings us a lot of confidence and trust from the whole partner ecosystem. It's good to know that any deals really involve at least a couple of, I forgot the site, but at least 2 or 3 partners for Commerce Cloud. It's really good that we are in there. It basically complements the existing integration. It doesn't replace it. But what it does, if you start, if you go on the website, download what they call the cartridge, which is effectively a plugin. It will, and if you install it in your Commerce Cloud instance, it will help you to implement things like tracking, ROI tracking, site tracking, abandoned cart tracking. It also improves some performances quite drastically if you're using the existing connector. And overall, it reduces the implementation time and effort for both our customer and their partner that they might have choose for their solution partner. There is also an SFRA version. So SFRA I apologize for the cryptic term, but this is the new version of their storefront, sort of the new framework of Commerce Cloud. We have also a version coming if this is a question that you get from customer. Is there just pending certification, but that's coming as well very, very soon. All right, so just to wrap up, overall better data for commerce customers. So again, we've improved the catalog sync and the product sync for Magento 1 and 2. We are now two-way sync for Shopify Plus. And we are now syncing all the guest data for all Commerce connectors. And more, we have now a new certified cartridge for Salesforce Commerce Cloud. And we are implementing and supporting the abandoned cart for WooCommerce and soon BigCommerce. And this is me done. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to Pam.
Brilliant. So I work with Tristan on the integration with CRM. So just I put this slide in case someone is confused. So we're talking about the Salesforce integration with us and Dynamics. In terms of the Salesforce integration, you might know that in 2018, our core team has launched Marketing Preferences, which was a new way for customer to kind of store and manage preferences. And so what we've done as a part of this project for phase 1, we then integrate Marketing Preferences from Engagement Cloud to Salesforce. Until that moment, if you're aware of how the integration used to work, content and lead was actually flowing the other direction. So now customer were happily using our preference center, able to actually manage preferences in that way. So we kind of observe how customers use the preference center, and then we came at this scenario. So John worked in this company that sells membership, and a customer called up and says, "Oh, I'd like to know what kind of publication I receive." And John goes in the CRM, see what kind of publication, and the customer said, "Would you mind to change it? I'm not actually interested anymore in design courses. I'm actually more interested in fashion." So John is over the phone and he's looking to change those preferences, but he can't. So he gets really frustrated. And so the only thing that he can do at that point is literally either message the marketing team, having email going around the business, which is not even very, very secure, or actually ask to have access to Engagement Cloud and kind of like have a course to actually understand how to change preferences. So to kind of overcome this issue, what we've done, we built a two-way sync for Marketing Preferences. So now John can go in Salesforce, see these preferences, and then as well, he can edit those preferences and add preferences if required. So you might ask how this works. So what we do at the time of sync, we try to understand between the Marketing Preferences, which of the two systems, Salesforce and Engagement Cloud, got the latest information. So to do that, we kind of have to do some work in the background. We have to create some Salesforce object, and then we need to store latest information. So then at the time of sync, there is a business logic kick in and decide which of the two systems got the latest information, and then override the information in the other system. So John is now over the phone with this customer, and he's really happy that he can change the subscription in the time of the call. He's actually amazed. So in terms of Microsoft Dynamics, I'm going to take you through 3 announcements that we've done. But before I actually deep dive, I would like to show you a little bit how much the company is actually investing in the integration. You might hear Milan speaking in the old hands about how much and how strategic is our investment on Dynamics, but just so you know how much the company is investing, I'm not going to go through numbers, but I'm going to show you the people that are working on the product. So in the software engineering team, we do have Renel, Mania, and Vidit. They work day in and day out to make sure that the solution is best possible for our customer. And then we do have Simon work as a lead engineer and helps the team to make sure that the solution is the best possible. We do have Andy. Andy has joined the last year, and he's kind of working to make sure that the system is fully tested before we push it to customer. Then we do have this card, it's not going to turn. We're actually hiring an engineer, so if you know any C# engineer, speak to Simon because we're hiring. And then we do have myself and Tristan, we work in the side, the product management side, and then we do have Trish and Jazz, and they work in the partnership team to kind of recruit more partners. So if we look at this slide, we can see how many people since the beginning of the year have been hired or will be hired in the integration. So you can see it's actually doubling up. So if you have a question, if we're investing, it's clear here how much we're investing. In terms of the deep dive in the announcement that we've done as a part of 19.2, the first thing that we look into was how we sync content and leads. If you're familiar how the integration works, you might have been yourself in Dynamic, create a marketing list, and sync content or lead in Engagement Cloud. But what you maybe don't know is that actually, to be very specific, the only thing that you're able to sync was open lead and active content, which might look like a very, very specific thing until you come to this scenario. So I was speaking with Ben. Ben worked for City & Guild. He's just been hired by the company, so he wants to impress his manager. He knows Engagement Cloud because he used to work for another company, so he's got a lot of heritage of how Engagement Cloud and integration work. And he said, I put together this great lead process. I got salespeople behind, but then I realized that I can't really sync disqualified lead, which was actually the main part of the sales process that I put in place. So you might imagine how Ben is pretty frustrating. Then I was interviewing this other customer of us, Callie. She's been using the system for quite a long time. And she said, Pamela, how expensive it is for us to acquire lead. And also you may imagine how long is the lead time for us, from someone to be like a cold lead to then be qualified. So from time to time, as a part of our process, we actually need to disqualify lead. But actually allow me to sync those leads. We pay a lot of money to actually acquire those leads. They're opted in data, and allow me to sync it. So I can't really leave money on the table. What I got to do, ask my team to go recurrently in the system, extract the data, push it in Engagement Cloud, and send campaign, which is really process heavy and also is not really good for security. So she's not happy. So as a part of this announcement, what we wanted to allow customers to do to sync any type of lead and content. This is not set as default, but if they want to allow for something different or what they normally sync, they're allowed to do it. And this is available right now, and there is no need to upgrade. Boom. In terms of the second announcement, we looked how our customer kind of sync data between systems. I put this example because it's probably relevant for a lot of you guys, and you probably work with James Russell in and day out. But we do have lots of customers have the same issue. So James was telling me that the first responsibility for his team is to make sure that the CRM works as best for the employees. So the system has to be top performance, because if the system is not top performance, it's got a lot of low time, you guys take a lot of time to go to CRM and do your daily work. So he's very analytical and know exactly, because we're a global company, when will be the best time for him to sync data between Engagement Cloud and Dynamics. But unfortunately, we're not allowing until now to actually hit that sweet spot, because we got some restriction in terms of when he's able to sync data. So he's actually pretty furious. But the reason he's furious is maybe because I actually refer to Dynamic 365 as CRM, or surely I should refer as Tor. In terms of the new syncs option, we allow you now to sync nightly, once a day at specified time. That's available in the synchronization setting, just something more available in the drop-down, and this is available right now, and there is no need to upgrade. Boom. The last thing that I'd like to show you is visibility on sync. If you do have a customer that use the integration, it's unfortunately quite common that, from time to time, we might have some issue in syncing the data. You might imagine how complex is syncing data across and how many things can actually impact that. To get a little bit under the skin at this kind of scenario, I was speaking with Adam from the Jockey Club. You might have seen it at the summit this year, so you're probably familiar with the business model. But just to give you an understanding, Adam worked in headquarters in London, and he also worked with 37 race courses, which are spread across the country. Each one of the race courses got a marketing team, and they build email campaign and then tell Adam and the team, okay, we're ready to send, can you please select the audience and then send out the campaign. So it's quite normal because race courses happen in the weekend that on a Friday, you need to send a lot of campaign and schedule them until it comes to an issue where, for example, something doesn't sync. So what it's telling me is, of course, it's Friday and I don't want to be in work, but the other frustration for me is I can't really see why things doesn't sync. So I don't have a way to troubleshoot. So it's Friday, I need to open a ticket with the support team and I need to wait for a reply. On top of this, because we didn't give visibility even to our support team to what the issue was taking quite a lot of time, or even in our side to kind of understand what the issue was. So obviously Adam is not happy. So to kind of go around this scenario, what we've done, we built a specific synchronization panel. If you're familiar with Salesforce, it looks quite similar. It's a new tab which is available in the synchronization setting. You can see the last 30 days worth of data, the status of the sync, so if something is successfully completed, in progress, or if it's error. And if it's error, there is nothing that we need to hide. We're going to tell the error so then at least they can see what they can do about it. And this is available right now, and there is no need to upgrade. The only caveat on this is it's available for Microsoft Dynamics version from 2013 and onwards. Boom. And that's me. So just to recap, in terms of the announcement for Salesforce, we did discuss marketing preferences two-way sync. And for Dynamics, the ability to sync any type of lead and content. For the schedule sync, now you got more option to when you want to schedule that, and then the new sync audit panel. That's me. Woo! I'm
just going to hold this one. Hey everyone, how you doing? Are you liking what you're seeing? Good, good. Any favourite improvements so far? Anything in particular? Surveys. I thought you might say that, yeah. When you get to use it, you'll realise just how slick the new interface really is. It's really nice to use because I've had a good play with it. So we're over halfway through now. There are just 3 talks remaining. The last one, of course, is all about commerce intelligence, which is our whole new area. We've got quite a lot of questions through already, but if you do have any more, then the code is on the screen behind me. If you're on the live stream, that code is 0192 on slide.do, so do head there. There's at least one question on the music that we're using already, so obviously we'll treat that one as a priority. I don't want to waffle on too long, so just wanted to remind you of the code. And next up, we have James Bowditch, so please put your hands together.
Cool, so good afternoon everyone, I'm James, and for my first ILP, I'm pleased to be able to give you an update on what the teams in Warsaw and Cheltenham have been up to, and also give them a bit of a shout out at the start. So if we go to Snowyo and have a look at some of the products that they're selling on their website, they tend to be quite high value, high ticket items. And when someone clicks on buy, they very likely get a confirmation email confirming that purchase, and they might get 1 or 2 notifications that their order's on its way, but there's very little, and there's nothing really that comes from Snowyo in terms of from the time of purchase to actually when it arrives at someone's front door. So that can, I guess, induce a number of different emotions. Where's my order? Is it going to get here in time for my holiday? Where in the world is it? etc., etc. So if we look at Tom wants to send out notifications to his customers more frequently across that fulfillment journey, if you like. And importantly, messages need to be front and center on customers' devices. They need to be delivered, read, in some cases acted upon almost straight away. And the channel needs to be relevant both to his customers and also something that Tom sees as a long-term strategy, a long-term channel for his customer engagement strategy going forward. So luckily for Tom, Dotdigital is now an official solutions provider for WhatsApp. Official being the key word there, which I'll come on to. And essentially what that means now is Tom is able to send frequent, regular communications to his customers along with that delivery journey, if there's a delay, etc., etc. And in some scenarios there might be the opportunity to reply. And so today, to send messages via WhatsApp, he can use the CPaaS One API as a new channel there. And in terms of receiving messages back in or receiving different WhatsApp events back in, there are webhooks and they come back into the CPaaS chat tool for him to respond to if he needs to. So it's true in the fact that WhatsApp want their official solutions providers to support specific use cases to start off with, but quite a good range of specific use cases. So for example, if Snowyo were to do ski holidays or equipment hire or tuition, he can send out reservation updates, event updates, appointment reminders, and so on. So it's a good range of use cases to start off with there. But Tom has a slight issue. He's looking around and he's seeing some brands, in some cases some competitors, seemingly offering use cases that are outside of what he's been told WhatsApp want to support. And so rightly he's going, what gives, what's happening here? And it's a very useful article that we can use at this point to explain that. And effectively you've got completely unauthorized providers that have somehow fashioned a way of delivering WhatsApp messages to customers. Or in some cases there are official solutions providers that are actually condoning the use of unofficial use cases. So WhatsApp are starting to sort of find them and shut those providers down and encourage those brands using those providers to come and use official solutions providers like us. So back to that word official and really what does it mean for us as a solutions provider? So it means that we had to achieve technical sign-off from WhatsApp. They had to look at our solution. They had to sign that off to go, we are happy with your implementation of our technology. We know and we are able to advise customers on the official usage, i.e. what WhatsApp are looking for in terms of messages going over their channel. And there's also understanding the correct opt-in and opt-out procedure, so we have resources and information to explain all of that. And it's important to know that WhatsApp are kind of at the start of their journey in terms of the business API as well. So we have regular calls with them to understand what's coming up on their roadmap, which means that we can leverage quite quickly when they support different content, different technologies, etc., etc. So just to give you an update really, or a timeline of what we've done to date and what the next steps are. So to get to this status, in November last year we were accepted onto the official early access program for the business API, so direct access to their documentation and to them as well as a team. Last month, the CPaaS beta went live, and so we've got a good set of customers sort of going through that process at the moment. And now today we can roll that out across the rest of the business and start talking to some select customers around WhatsApp. And something that WhatsApp have sort of stipulated is that we have to achieve at least 3 customers using the channel in order, also before we can market ourselves as an official solutions provider, at least publicly. So that's why you probably won't see it on the website, at least to start with. So in terms of next steps, it's true that we have to be quite selective on the customers that are going to be suitable to use WhatsApp in the first instance. So speak to Joe, who's here somewhere. If you have a particular customer in mind that looks like they're going to be a good fit to start using WhatsApp with us, look out for more sessions after today. There's going to be loads more information that we can give you after the presentation today. And we'll continue to have monthly calls and updates with the team at WhatsApp to understand where they're going, what their roadmap looks like, so we can leverage those pretty quickly. So in summary, WhatsApp have 1.5 billion users globally in 180 countries. So it really is a key new channel for us in terms of a customer engagement channel. It's true, engagement use cases are supported in the first instance, but there's a good set of use cases there that we can start to talk to customers about. And we're here to understand how customers can use WhatsApp in Engagement Cloud, and really going forward, we'll understand what that looks like for Engagement Cloud, so look out for that in future ILPs. And that's me. Thank you.
Right, good afternoon everyone. So, I'm going to start with this slide because you obviously haven't seen it enough. So, in the last months, we introduced a lot of new engagement channels into our platform. Today we have a slight twist on that because we are adding new ways for our customers to evaluate the engagement of their contacts in the Engagement Cloud. So, most of you probably have seen in 19.1 we introduced a new thing in our segmentation tool, which were SMS replies. In 19.2 we changed this to just replies. And the reason for that is if you drag that block into segmentation canvas, right now, or as of 19.2, you will have 2 channels to choose from, email and SMS channel. So if you choose the email channel, you'll be able to segment on contacts who reply to any email campaigns you've sent them, or reply to some specific campaigns you've sent them, or the negation of those 2 rules, contacts who did not reply to any or specific campaigns you've sent them. So the difference between email and SMS channel only lies in the thing that right now you cannot segment on specific content within the email reply. And we also don't filter for auto replies. But other than that, you can filter out, segment out contacts who replied to the content you've sent them. And you can use that in segmentation, and you can use that in programs to make decisions. And for the next feature, I need to bring you back to Snowyo, because they just hired a new marketing person. So meet Sarah. Sarah's role is being in charge of Snowyo's VIP customer. So she has a lot of great ideas, novel ways, experiments she wants to run. And Snowyo is absolutely on board with that. The only point which kind of a bit worries them is that how is their business as usual could affect what Sarah is doing for VIP customers. So what they want to do is to make sure that everyone can send to those address books that they have, but only Sarah can actually send to VIP customers' address book. So previously it wasn't really possible in our platform, but in 92 we added a new way how our customers can control who can send
to selected address books. So as the account owner in the Engagement Cloud, you can actually choose users who will be allowed to send to this address book. And you could do it for the new address books you're creating, or for existing address books by editing the properties of those address books. So what Snowyo needs to do is just to select Sarah's account, and that's it basically. Only Sarah will be able to send to VAP customers address book, Sarah and their account owner, because account owners can send to everyone. And what happens if someone, then that is not Sarah, tries to send to VAP customers address book? Well, if they select the address book in the campaign sender screen, they will see this error message listing the address books for which they don't have permissions to send. If they try to send to a segment or a marketing preference, they will get a new additional information on the summary screen of their campaign. They will see the number of contacts that they selected, the number of contacts that we excluded from the send because they don't have rights to send to those contacts, and the actual number, so the actual number of emails that we're going to send after all the exclusions. They send the campaign, then on the reporting screen they have the same information, how many contacts were excluded from the send, and if they click on that number, they can see who those contacts were. They also can see who sent the campaign, so they could see who tries and maybe adjust their permissions if that's needed. Right, to sum up 2 things. As of 19.2, our customers will be able to segment on contacts who reply to their email campaigns. They will be able to better control who can send to their address books, and our system will be able to automatically exclude contacts from the send if the person who's trying to send them does not have a permission to send to this address book. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniil. Okay, we're nearly there. It's been a really long ILP. It's been probably the biggest release I think we've had since I've been here. This is not going to be typical. It's just various engineering teams finish their work at the same time, so it's unusually large. So I'm going to be talking about e-commerce. This is not the feature that I expected to be talking to you about. We were post-summit thinking we were all go on Affinity Finder, but the business goals somewhat changed, and there's a few people I sort of just want to mention around this. We're going to talk about RFM, and the basis for RFM has come from customers and prospects. So there's a few people I've worked with on the account management side, like Jack and Simon, JB and Simon Lai on the partner side, as well as people like Matt Beaver on the sort of the sales side. So a lot of these people have helped me get together data very quickly to make the business case for working on these e-commerce features. So I think in terms of turning the ship, we did a very good job there of kind of getting the research done and getting the project scoped out very quickly. So let's talk about e-commerce stuff. So the background for this is Tom in his CEO role, sticking his nose in everything, and essentially what he's looking at the moment is Snowyo's Engagement Cloud contract is up for renewal, and he's got some questions. His main question is a broad marketing platform like Engagement Cloud still the right choice for an e-commerce business? Seems like a pretty legit question. Now, the background to this is he, as an e-commerce business, has specialist requirements for his data for targeting his customers. So this is different to B2B, and he wants to be sure that Engagement Cloud is going to meet that demand. Further to that, his reporting expectations are not opens and clicks. They're important, but as an e-commerce business, there's a whole slew of retailer KPIs that are important, not just sort of the tick and the heartbeat of his business, but actually to drive the marketing channels to make good decisions on the marketing side. So the background to this is a new banner within Engagement Cloud called Commerce Intelligence, and this groups together features new and old, and hopefully this gives you, when you're talking to customers and prospects, a coherent feature set. It groups together a whole load of stuff that I hope you're going to feel more comfortable when you talk to these people. So, the first and most obvious difference, when Snowyo log in on the 31st of July, we have a new section in Engagement Cloud, e-commerce. So, this includes new stuff like our dashboards, My Store. At the moment there's just settings in there, but there's potentially all sorts coming to that. Product recommendations, they have a new home. They were never intended to be part of email campaigns. They aren't associated with a channel. They're now grouped here with all of our e-commerce features and reporting. So at the moment, just product recommendation reporting, but lots more to talk about on that. So let's dig into the first big new feature, which is RFM. So the background for this, we're going to go to Emily here, our marketing manager. And Emily wants a way to target her customers appropriately. So this is based on the value of the customer and their behavior. So for her, that looks like an e-commerce auto segment, okay? She also wants to understand, when she looks at her customer base, where the opportunities and the risks lie. Okay, so these are very e-commerce kind of things to be thinking about. And this is the main one. Underpinning all of this is a purchase lifecycle model. So when we think about e-commerce customers, they go through a stage of active, lapsing, inactive. That needs to underpin everything. So to talk about this, we're going to go back to our customer side now. This is Kirsty, and we're going to talk about RFM. So actually, like a good e-commerce retailer, Snowyo are already syncing the data into Engagement Cloud to power this. So they're syncing orders. So actually, these three dimensions of data, recency, frequency, and monetary, they already have it. And in fact, they're already using it. So the R dimension is probably the most obvious one for something like a lapsing customer automation. And I think that's probably a good one to unpack for our example of RFM, because let's just say this fires on, say, 90 or 120 days. It's quite a binary way to market. It's not bad marketing, but if you take a typical customer example, that email campaign that goes out is going to potentially incentivize. But actually, when you think about the nuances and the different personas within a customer base, you may have someone who's, say, spent $20 in their entire history, or you may have Kirsty here who spent nearly $600. And the treatment of that data, the appropriate marketing for these types of persona, is where RFM is going to help us. So we could, Emily could do this. She could export this data and look at her contacts and group it by micro-segments appropriate to these other dimensions. Of course you could do that. RFM actually does it for you. And it does it by comparing those R, F, and M dimensions for Kirsty to all of the other customers, and it gives her a score, a relative score to other customers. So she's been scored 2 for recency and 3 each for frequency and monetary. And that's grouped with a whole load of other customers in what we call a cell 233. What's a 233? Really good question. Thank you, Pug. Scottish Pug as well. We can look it up on our list of standard RFM personas. We have 6 of them, from champions down to inactive. And we find Kirsty here. So she had 2 for recency. That was her score. And if you add up frequency and monetary, she was a 6. So she sits right on the bottom of that, the threshold for high potential. So she is grouped with a whole bunch of other customers in an auto segment, and you can market to these people appropriately. How do you use them? So if you take a look inside Segment Builder, you get a new side panel. You can choose your personas from the list here. These are the standard personas. And you get a description, short description about who these people are and how the scores relate to them. But then you get detail, so you get insights. These are kind of positive and negative risks and opportunities that describe this type of customer. And you also get actions, and actions are marketing, how to market appropriately to this type of persona, and even in some cases, what features of Engagement Cloud will be most effective to carry out that type of marketing. So let's take a look at a RFM segment in action. So you can drag in your RFM data block. You set it up, you can cycle through the different personas, you can see them there. These are standard personas, but if you note, there's also the ability to create custom personas as well. So you can go and set your own custom scores to create any kind of granular targeting that you like. So that's RFM personas. We've touched across a few of these areas where they work. So they work great for segmentation, enrollment criteria for programs, really good for those. Obviously, they profile their customers. Reporting we're going to get to in just a second. One note, they are intended to work with dynamic personalization. That is in progress, that is coming. All right, so we talked about reporting. Let's have a look at some reporting. So I'm just going to flag this here. All of the stuff I'm about to show you will require that order data is synced into Engagement Cloud. All right, so our first dashboard, we talked about RFM. Here it is. So here's a visualization of Snowyo's entire customer base segmented by RFM persona. So you can see, tells you the total number of contacts in a particular persona and the percentage of the customer base in that persona as well. So a small technical note on this data visualization. The size of the cell does not relate to the number of contacts. The size of the cell relates to its position in the RFM scoring. So let me explain that, slightly abstract. If you look at need nurturing, for recency, that's 2, maps to the 2. And for frequency and monetary, you can see there it's between 1 and 5. So the cell's size and position relates to where it maps to the scores. Our RFM model, as I mentioned, is life cycle based. So we group the RFM personas by where they are, whether they're active, lapsing, at risk. By the way, it is lapsing. It's definitely not at risk, and inactive. So that conforms to Tom and Emily's expectation of how they think about where customers are on their purchase journey. Also on this dashboard, revenue by persona. So a little bit, this is kind of retailer KPI greatest hits. So you can see things like revenue, CLV, average orders, etc., cohorted by the RFM persona. So this is Emily's, favorite screen, because she can come along and actually find out, where's the money within the customer base, where's the risk, where's the opportunity. So this is the customer dashboard. I like this. If there is a screen in Engagement Cloud that looks prettier than that, I don't know it. It's one of my favorites. We have another dashboard as well. So this is the retail dashboard. This is, for me, this is the heartbeat of the business. This is showing Tom really what's going on within his e-commerce business. So before we dive into the tiles, a couple of things to note. The date range in the top right here, we're set to all time. And also this button, you can go full screen. So we can actually hide the Engagement Cloud UI. So if you like these things on kind of second monitors or TV walls, you can do that. Okay, so let's take a look at what reporting dimensions we have. There are 3 rows which cover 3 dimensions. The first row is money, second row is orders, third row is customers. So first one, this is obvious, revenue. AOV, anyone? Average order value, awesome. CLV, customer lifetime value, there we go. So these are the averages for a single contact within either a single purchase or their entire purchase history. Orders, this is very simple, total number of orders for the given period. Average basket size. This is a nice one. Find out sort of on average how many items are people buying. Retailers love this one. The average delay between orders. So this is an interesting one. The lower that number, obviously the better. So this is the delay between concurrent orders. And then we have our customer dimensions. So the total number of customers, straightforward, and we split them. Single purchase customers, don't like these people. And repeat customers, these are our loyal customers. The way you think about and how you market to these types of customers is quite different. There is this threshold within e-commerce of once someone has made their second purchase, they are massively more likely to go on and become a loyal customer. So you may incentivize quite hard at that single purchase level. So something else that's going on behind the scenes in this dashboard, which may not be obvious, is multi-currency support. So Snowyo transact in many countries. They sell in lots of different currencies globally, but they report back to sterling. That's their business reporting currency. Now, their e-commerce platform and their data is not in great shape, actually. So the data comes through and we don't have the conversion rates to the base currency. We have the presented money, but we don't have the base currency. And looking at our customer data, that's not an uncommon scenario. So it's worth saying if they went to Ometria or Emarsys, out of luck. Your order data must contain both the presented and the base money. Otherwise, financial reporting, well, it probably looks a bit weird. It'll probably work, but it'll look a bit strange. But in 19.2, we've built multi-currency support. So we do Forex natively in-app. We have about a decade's worth of on-the-day conversions for 20-ish currencies. When the data lands in platform, we do real-time conversion. So Tom Slalom one day, I think he probably drank quite a lot of, I don't know, Buckfast, I think. And he decides he wants to report in rubles, and he can do that. So he changes it to rubles, and in real time, going back across 80,000 historical orders, he can report in rubles. There we go. Lovely stuff. All right. So that is Forex conversion in Engagement Cloud. Small feature, but I think it's quite cool. Okay, so that's good. We can report on this stuff. But in 19.2, we really want Snowyo to drive these numbers even higher. How can we do that? Yes, product recommendations. We have more. So launching in 19.2, we have our first personalized recommendation. So this is not based on machine learning, but it is a one-to-one recommendation. So this is also bought. The way it works, it takes a product to seed the recommendation. So based on what someone bought or what they're looking at on a website, Engagement Cloud will return a product set of people who bought that product, also bought. It does, within that, an implicit best sellers. So it's surfacing the most popular products. So there's two very distinct implementations of this. So I will just note data requirements, catalog and orders required for this one. So first implementation is in an email campaign. So you drag the also bought recommendation in. Shows you there the title, customers who bought this, also bought this. And there's two configurations. That's simple and that's the detail configuration. You can actually show the purchased product. Now the way this works, it looks to the most recent order by the customer and it finds the highest value item in that order and that seeds the recommendation. So that is how it works for email. I can't think of a good reason why this shouldn't be in every post-purchase email, frankly. It makes tons of sense. The other implementation is on-site recommendations. So for me, this has been a gap in our sort of repertoire for product recommendations. Using heuristics like best sellers, they're good for hub pages and home pages, but we really want personalization at the lowest level on the product page, and that's what this does. So when you embed it on site, it takes the product's URL as the seed, sends it to Engagement Cloud. Engagement Cloud will send back the also bought products. And a small note here, in 19.2, we have improved the on-site HTML template. Previously, it had borders and buttons, and it was a bit fiddly to work with. Now you get this much simpler version, easier to customize. All right, I think we're done. So just in summary, very quickly, we've listened to you guys around the importance of e-commerce. These are the first features grouped under commerce intelligence, but we're committed to doing a lot more in this area. Hopefully this makes it easier to talk to customers when pitching, customers, or when you're talking to prospects when you're pitching. We have an RFM model based on life cycle. Hopefully that's going to make segmenting and reporting much, much easier. Okay, that's it from me. So over to someone very slightly less glamorous. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me? Right, so I was talking to Gavin earlier and he gave me presentation advice and he told me to draw your attention to my new haircut because it will break the ice. So I'm not sure if that worked, but yeah, credits to Gavin. Right, so this was a really long presentation for what has been a very big but also very exciting release. Good news is I'm here to wrap things up. For those who don't know me, my name is Julia and I'm part of the product marketing team. So I'm going to take you through a few of the key dates for our 19.2 release. First one is almost done, 5 more minutes, I promise. Today's ILP presentation. From today onward, all demo accounts will also have the new features active. For your individual accounts, you'll have to wait 2 more weeks for the external launch. Starting Friday, training with Adele will begin. So you should all already have Outlook invites in your calendars. If you don't have them, please reach out to your line managers who should be able to help with that. In 1 week's time, so on the 24th of July, we're going to give our partners a heads up about the new features. So by then, we should all be ready to answer any questions that might be thrown our way, which leads me to the 4th point. Our certification quiz closes on the 25th of July. Let me move over here. So until then, you have time to get certified. You know, there's a lot to gain from getting certified. You can win our great stickers. You can win $500 per region, peer applause, also obviously the obvious knowledge building, all the great things. So make sure you do that. One more thing I want to highlight at this stage is that it is a very big release and Adele will be trying to cover as much as she can in her training, but we definitely need your help. So we have quite a few of internal self-learning resources ready, so please make use of those. We'll be sending them around in the next couple of days. And then, in 2 weeks, our external launch. So as always, the external launch will be accompanied by our marketing activities, email, social, website updates, and so on. But something that is new for this release is starting from the 31st onward, you will also find all 19.2 collateral in the sales enablement folder. What is the sales enablement folder, you ask? Well, the sales enablement folder is a one-stop shop for all internal and external collateral. Let me tell you just a few things about the folder in case you haven't used it already. We launched the folder about a month ago. It is a Dropbox folder, very simple, accessible from all your laptops. It has all the latest product collateral, training material, collateral and partners, integrations, all these things in there, and is constantly kept up to date. The primary target audience for the folder are all customer-facing teams, but everyone in the company has viewing access and can benefit basically from the folder. And then overall, the folder makes it easier to find any collateral that could help support conversations with customers or prospects. So what can you find in the folder? The folder has 4 main areas. I'm not going to go into too much detail on what you can find in them, but the 4 areas are... Wow. Can you still hear me? Yeah, okay, I'm just going to hold it. The 4 areas are product knowledge, customer knowledge, market knowledge, and sales presentations. This is just a short summary of what you can find there right now already, but I want to talk to you about what you can find for 19.2. So in terms of product knowledge, the first one you'll probably have within a few days. The internal release cheat sheet, as always, you should all be familiar with this document already. We'll give you a bit of more in-depth explanation of the features. We will also be providing you with a client-facing commerce intelligence 2-pager, as well as a Pages and Forms 1-pager, Salesforce Commerce Cloud 1-pager. And you will also find all of Adele's newest release training decks, links to the bite-sized videos, and more. In terms of customer knowledge, as you probably know, we've already had Commerce Intelligence on a beta up and running. So we currently have 49 customers on the beta already, and we're reaching out to them to try and get a case study together for you guys. So watch this space. In terms of market knowledge, you will find an updated mature BAL card. So why is this important, and why do we want to highlight this? The team has worked really, really hard to quickly release Commerce Intelligence. The reason why it has been so prioritized was market demand and competitive pressure. So although the feature doesn't solve everything, together with the BAL card, you can get a good understanding of where we actually win and where we don't. And then in terms of sales presentations, you will find updated roadmap slides so that you can already start talking to your prospects and to your clients about the new features, as well as updated master decks. Woo! I never use GIFs, so this is really big for me. I tried really hard. Okay, so where can you find this sales enablement folder? So either you can access it directly from your laptops, down here, or through the treehouse if you go to platform, sales information, and then sales enablement. And if you have any questions, product market team manages the folder, so just email us or approach us directly. Right, that's it from me. You now have a minute to send any last questions you have to Slido. The code is at the bottom of the slide, and then we'll go into our Q&A. Should be working again? No? Hello? Oh yeah? Okay. Not sure if this is working. Aha, there I am. Okay, cool. So the most upvoted question was definitely the what song is this? I know it's a very motivational song. You have to ask ducks in the background if you want to know that. I have no idea. So first, a few questions on SMS. You ready? You're too. Okay. How does a track link in an SMS change the character count?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I didn't explain that very well. So when you put in a link in the SMS, if it's a really long link, that character count will be reflected in the SMS character count. If you hit shorten, you'll lose all the characters up until 22. If that makes sense? So it'll get shortened down to 22, and the character count will reflect that. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Cool. Will we be able to get SMS subscribes via the API that is easily identifiable as SMS unsubscribe, but not as email unsubscribes?
So we're just working on building out the API methods for SMS at the moment. SMS contacts are currently separate from email contacts, so if we did build that one, they would be separate. That one's not on the roadmap, but maybe the person that asked that should contact me.
Cool. Are all the SMS changes only available for broadcast SMS or also for triggered SMS?
So they're only available for broadcast SMS at the moment, but going forward we're actually going to bring the composition of triggered SMS into the broadcast SMS section like we do with email, so you compose it there and then you'll just link to it from the program builder. So that is coming, but currently it's just broadcast SMS.
Great. And then I think I have another one. Oh yeah. Will SMS test sends be deducted from an account's SMS credits, or will an account get X amount of test send credits?
That's a good question. We do plan to make them free. At the moment they are paid, so they'll be deducted as normal credits. We're going to do a little bit of work on billing for SMS, and when we do that work, we'll make a certain amount of test SMS sends free.
Okay, cool, thanks. I'm going to move on to Daniel for a few questions.
This is great. Yeah.
It looks like the lapel mics are only working, not the two. So maybe stand close to the respondent to make sure that they're echoing through the...
Not too bad.
Can we test if this works? Okay. I can like share. Wow, okay, so now I lost your thing. Okay, what happens when a contact is present in two address books, one you can send to and one you can't?
Right. So if the contact is present in at least one address book that you can send to, means you can send to this contact. So you have one permission, you're fine.
Cool. I think that was all. Is it only the account owner who can send permissions, or can user with managed account permission also do this?
Yeah, so account owner can send, choose the users who can send, and every other user can manage account permissions.
One more?
Yeah.
Do address book permissions work for scheduled campaigns and automations?
Yeah, so scheduled campaigns, yes. Automatic exclusion will take place. Programs, no. Programs ignore all the permissions. If you want to be extra secure, you can remove the user permission to use programs, and then the person will not be able to use programs.
Okay. Actually, I found one more. Can someone add a customer to a locked address book or export the contacts from the address book?
Yeah, good question. Yes, yes, you can copy the contacts out of the address book. You can export contacts. It's only sending that is when the permission is checked. Only sending.
Cool. I'm going to move on to Ian. Give you a break. Okay. Will RFM only be relevant for e-commerce customers?
Yep. That's an easy one. It relies on order data. I mean, if there's a B2B company that could force their data to fit the order insight schema, maybe. I think it might not. Joe? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Joe. It might not really be a useful thing. I think the rest of the reporting kind of assumes a purchase life cycle. Yeah.
Okay. Can you see how many customers have moved from one group to another in the RFM dashboard?
Yeah. So right now the dashboard is what it is, but that request was pretty consistent in all customer interviews. We have had discussions about how we might visualize that. It's really, for me, probably the most interesting next thing to be working on. So yeah, definitely soon.
Will a contact's RFM persona be stored against the contact and visible in any of the getContact API calls?
We're figuring that one out, and ultimately what you've unpicked there is why dynamic content in emails doesn't work. Because if it was on the customer record, it would work. But it's actually generated real time from the data warehouse, which is cool. That has loads of benefits, but the trade-off is we're still figuring out how dynamic content and things like single customer view are going to work with it. So it's not a huge challenge, but it's one we need to figure out.
Can any logic be added to also bot recs, such as above or below a value for cross-selling?
Yeah, you can edit these in Rec Builder, so you can filter as you wish.
Will the demo accounts have data for the new RFM and dashboard features?
I believe, if they don't already, Adele's, yeah, there we go. Yes, should already be there. The e-commerce permission, we had a few snags in deploy this morning. I haven't got back with my team yet, but I will tomorrow. So you may not have the e-commerce section in the demo account, but you should do pretty swiftly tomorrow.
Cool. Are the standard RFM scores editable for each business, or are these our idea of a standard score?
Yeah, they're not editable, and for good reason. The model's really complicated. The key thing within the model is that personas don't overlap, and to have reasonably descriptive, granular personas, actually that took a lot of work, which is why we've allowed you to create custom personas. But I mean, the standard model covers, broad purchase lifecycle personas. It's a pretty solid starting point, I think. But as I say, for sophisticated marketers, fill your boots, go and build custom personas.
Cool. Can we amend or filter the retail dashboard at all?
Right. That has consistently come up as a request as well. Right now, it's date-based filtering. What wasn't shown on the retail dashboard was the comparisons. Actually, 2 dates you'll be able to set. We expect that to be released on the 31st, but I know what you're asking. You want to basically filter it by contact segment. So, yeah, we really, really want to do that. What we've put out, I think, a lot of credit to the team that built it. It was built in very short order, so we know this kind of it ticks a box. It's probably not wowing someone who's been blown away by a Metria or a Marsis dashboards, but we're not far off getting that segmentation in.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to move on to James. A couple of WhatsApp questions. I'm also going to move closer. How many... I don't know if you have an answer to this. What does the WhatsApp feature look like within engagement count? I see it's launched, but what features can we offer our clients?
Right, so at the moment it's API only. So yeah, that's why we have to be sort of very selective on the clients that we want to offer it to. So that's why we have to sort of direct those clients to Joe to help you work through those. But certainly, going forward, I'll understand the appetite and understand what that should look like going forward.
Okay, so that also answers the next question. Is WhatsApp messaging available in Engagement Cloud or only via CPaaS? So API only. Okay, sorry, I think that was it for WhatsApp. I had one for Tristan. Sorry, there's so many. I'm going to pass this on. Thank you so much. Here you go. Is the Shopify two-way sync available for Shopify Plus only or Shopify as well?
Both Shopify Plus and Shopify. Yeah, sorry if I didn't mention that, but yeah, definitely for both.
Cool. That was quite simple, and that was also... No, one more question for you. With the Magento catalog updates, how does that impact the product block? If you select the product, would it also auto-change to users' local pricing currency?
That would be nice. It doesn't automatically change that based on where the users are located. But obviously, with your product block, you can select which catalog you get the product from. So basically, what you can do is have a dynamic content based on where the users are located. You can select one catalog, the UK catalog, for example, put your prices in pound. And in another variation, you can have the US one. So you can do that, but it's not automatically updated.
Perfect. One more question for Amber. Can you personalize or add a prefix to a URL in SMS?
No, you can't. That's something maybe we think about doing in the future, but I know the CPAS team have experience with this, and it's quite messy, and a lot of customers sort of, when they realised how hard it was, decided not to do it. So maybe, but not now.
And can you see individual click-throughs?
Yes, you can.
Okay, cool. I'm not sure. I think I got we're done. Do we have? Okay, we have more time. Great, thank you. Ian, how long did it take you, knowing what you know, to create the branching survey? The example that you had in your...
in the example?
Mm-hmm.
No time at all, actually, because there's actually no logic in that one. I totally fudged it. But being whatever. It's a video. No, but being honest, right? This is a bit of a paradigm shift. You do need to think about it in a slightly different way. So I think up front, we've got an education thing to work on with our customers. But I think once you've set up the precondition filtering on your first section, I think you'll be fine. It is pretty simple.
Does the new Pages and Forms tool support progressive profiling?
Did Paul Holohan plant that question? No, he's not shaking his head. Okay, so it's an interesting one, and the basis for section logic kind of suggests that would be possible. So I know Sean's been playing around with Liquid to see if we can kind of hack that. It's not built into the feature, and it certainly wasn't intended. But I think we're in a pretty good position to actually go and build that feature out if we think it's important. So it'd be good to hear from some customer use cases to sort of justify the requirement.
Cool. Okay, that's it for questions. All the questions that haven't been answered, don't worry, they will get answered, but not in this setting. One message from Tink. Greetings from Whistler, Canada. Not a question, just a comment. Many congrats to the product team. A phenomenal release. Well done. So hands together for the product team. Cool. That's it.